Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Country with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered this week's X-Men books as well as a few others. Tell me on the rest of this week's Marvel haul. Kicking things off, we got Avengers Forever number 2. Where we left off, Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes had been transported to another Earth alongside of Deathlock. That Earth is under the rule of Multiversal Masters of Evil member Black Skull. A basic red skull with the Venom symbiote. He actually popped up in last week's issue of Avengers as well, fighting Cap, Captain Marvel, and Starbrand. We were also introduced to one of the world's few potential heroes, Tony Stark, the Invincible AntMan. But Ghost Rider has been taken prisoner by the Black Skull, who is torturing him, and it took 8 days for Black Skull to cut through Robbie's leg. He's trying to break Ghost Rider, and it's not working. We learned that on Black Skull's Earth, there's a barbed wire encircled portion where everything seems to be normal, but people are controlled by implants. So yeah, the Deathlock that's with Robbie is constantly reminding him of who he actually is, as he's not turning back into himself. And we see more and more of the torture. Ghost Goblin shows up. And Ghost Goblin, neither of them have ever seen anything a rider like Robbie. The skulls of the various Ghost Rider skulls that Ghost Goblin has, however, while close to Robbie, all refer to him as the All Rider. And Deathlock kind of confirms that, potentially speaking, Robbie is the All Rider. Eventually, Black Skull learns who Robbie actually is, and basically he and the Multiverse of Masters will scour the multiverse for every version of Robbie Reyes that existed. They were pretty much all utterly insignificant, and basically he's got all of them in a room and says, they can escape. The last Robbie standing gets to live. At first, Robbie's a little put off us, trying not to be involved, but yeah, he gets in on it, and he becomes the winner. But Deathlock tells Robbie about the legend of the All Rider, and is trying to find a way out. But it turns out, and the bugs in the cell are definitely annoying Deathlock, but one of the bugs is being ridden by, of course, Ant-Man, which is where the issue ends. It's starting off well. I'm liking the way it's going so far. Next up, we've got Black Panther number 3, or number 200, however you want to look at it. Third issue in the new series, but the 200th solo issue of Black Panther. Where we left off, Black Panther was attacked by the forces that are taking out his sleeper agents. So Black Panther and his and one of his sleeper agents, Omalola, they take on the idea is to at least make sure one of the assassins survives so they can question them, but that. It doesn't work. They try, though. They do try. In Wakanda, there are factions forming within the recently democratized government. And the chief of security is trying to rein things in. After the fight with the assassins, however, T'Challa and Amalola are going somewhere off the grid. Morocco, where T'Challa hopes they have friends. But T'Challa arrives, he's met by the Regent of Seoul, Storm, his ex-wife, as well as Gambit, Rogue, and the Wakandan X-Men, Gentle, who was apparently banished during from Wakanda during the on the Earth, the planet side portion of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. But Storm breaks up. The Gentle goes at attacks T'Challa, and Storm talks him down. Then Storm and Black Panther are talking about what's been going on, but he can't really tell her what's going on because he's still processing it. We learn later that among his sleeper agents is Gentle, and T'Challa tells Gentle what's happened. Turns out the fight earlier was a show, but Gentle offers to give T'Challa a hug because T'Challa's lost his best friend, and he accepts. We got two backup stories. One is a tall tale of tricks. A Black Panther speaks to Bast. Bast is injured, needs help, but the only help they can get is from a trickster named Sai. So Black Panther goes to speak to Sai. Sai says, "Okay, yeah, this tool here can help save your god, but you have to do something for me. Go into this termite mound where there's a item there I need. Be wary because the creature living in the mound may be blind, but very keen hearing. But he gets to stick to Sai to explain that it wasn't. Sai said it was his to possess, but in fact not actually his. So Black Panther stole it for him, basically. But Black Panther's given the item to help Bast. Our next backup story is entitled The Wakandan. It's told from the perspective of a Wakandan citizen from basically who lived outside of. It turns out that there are factions of Wakanda society that have shunned the hyper technology of how Wakanda is generally perceived. They don't try to control vibranium; they try to just let it, be a part of their life. But our narrator went to heard about the changing government, and went to, find out if it was true. But again, it seems it was just more powerful men arguing about how all their power meant they knew best for Wakanda. There was a war. Apparently, it was a civil war. It seems there's a civil war coming in Wakanda, and our narrator, identifies himself as Tosin, saves the Prime Minister and states that he fights for the one true Wakanda. An interesting beginning. But that is where the issue ends. I have to admit I was surprised to get the revelation that Gentle was one of the sleeper agents. A fun little point, one of the... I mentioned that one of the people that greets T'Challa with Storm was Gambit. Gambit explains that Storm mentioned her ex-husband was calling, and, well, Gambit wanted to make sure that T'Challa didn't hurt her. Again. It makes for a fun moment. It's always nice to see people remembering that, Storm and Gambit are, actually fairly close. Not they're actually fairly close friends. And I think a large part of that is because when Storm had been reverted to a child, Gambit helped get her back to the X-Men. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Captain America Iron Man #3. Where we left off, Captain America and Iron Man had seemingly stopped Veronica Eden. However, 51 had managed to get away, got the Hydra Cap armor, and seemingly reactivated the Overseer and the Myrmidons. But it looks like the former 50 State Initiative folks, the Paladins, maybe aren't all that much help to Cap and Iron Man. But we begin with Veronica Eden explaining that if Cap and Iron Man are willing to talk, to maybe kind of I'll scratch your guys' backs if you scratch mine. Information, names, so on and so forth. But Cap tells the Paladins that step away from the limelight and basically go back to basics. Start small and like everyone else did, basically. But Veronica's going to help them, and they're heading to. So the Cap, Iron Man, and Veronica head to the Helicarrier Designate Adjunct. There's some infighting between the Paladins, but Vox basically says, "Hey, we just got to do what we've always been doing, and we'll show Cap and Iron Man that we can help." But Cap and Iron Man deal with Myrmidon, manage to take it down, and it turns out that it was all a ruse for Veronica to get close to the Overseer. Apparently, the Overseer, being an AI, is in love with Veronica, and well, she's in love with the AI. But the basic idea is getting rid of everyone with powers. They're the problem. Cap states the fact that superheroes have saved the world countless times, and Veronica does point out, and in all honesty, kind of rightly so, that the threats, superheroes save the world from threats they themselves brought about. And then Cap and 51 deal with another Myrmidon, and when Veronica realizes that Veronica tries to take over Overseer, but then she's inserted a voice command, which he has disabled. And so Overseer sends out an army of Myrmidons to deal with Cap, Iron Man 51, and Veronica. And that is where the issue ends. This is definitely a series that I think it took a little while to find its footing. It had and I think a lot of that is just that there. It took a while to find its footing, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to see it compressed. I kind of feel like everything that's been done and said in the series thus far was necessary setup. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Iron Man number 16, where we left off. Iron Man, power cosmic, has basically become a god. Him and his space friends return to Earth, and Rhodey the fact that Rhodey's the one who actually literally says this, that, you know, this maybe isn't the best thing to happen. This is probably a very bad thing. Fun fact. So among the space friends was Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly. Frogman actually points out that you know, it's really great that, you know, Ben's getting a chance to shine. There's a nod to what's going on with the Spider-Man Beyond. But Tony, trying to help, gives everyone in New York, puts everyone in New York at his level of intellect. There's a fun joke there where Invisible One asks Mr. Fantastic if he feels any different, and he states that he feels like he may have just gotten dumber. Makes for some fun moments with people explaining things in a manner that, you know, they likely normally wouldn't. That said, massive cosmic power seems to also give someone a bit of a temper. By someone, I do mean Tony. But among things that happen, Big Wheel, a villain best known for riding around a giant wheel, comes out of a coma, and he has an idea. He puts his idea into motion, not thinking about the consequences, and Hellcat and Iron Man go to stop him. And Hellcat's able to figure out that the plan that Big Wheel had would actually end traffic congestion. But, of course, he didn't think to, you know, he didn't think about any possible consequences, so. And it's kind of a, nothing about the consequences thing. Sound familiar? And later, Hellcat basically find someone that could potentially help with getting Tony back to being just Tony. Dr. Doom. I'm sure that's going to end I'm sure that's going to go swimmingly. I can't see anything going wrong with asking Dr. Doom for help. Nothing at all, aside from, you know, everything. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Thor number 21. Quick review on Iron Man. I'm enjoying the book, but it really does. It feels more and more just like it's just spinning its wheels. So, yeah. Admittedly, this one had a rather big wheel to spin, but yeah. Still, it's all right. You know, I'm enjoying it. It just feels kind of like, yep, we're just doing this, doing big things, and no one's gonna care because it's not happening in Avengers. So yeah, but yeah, Thor number 21. Where we left off, the God of Hammers revealed himself to be, well, Mjolnir. We begin with saying that there's only so much darkness one can throw into the sun before the star turns black. But basically, Mjolnir beats the crap out of Thor in the remains of Broxton, Oklahoma. And Thor seriously messes up his arm trying to punch the God of Hammers, and he blocks with Mjolnir, and well, yeah, tears up Thor's arm. Odin shows up to help, and then Sif uses the Rainbow Bridge to send the God of Hammers to the farthest place from Broxton, Oklahoma. But Mjolnir returns, slams into Odin's back, seemingly snapping his spine, and turns out that the whole thing about the darkness and the sun, yeah, back during Jason Aaron's run on Thor, during the Jane Foster portion of things, Jane Foster fought Mangog and destroyed Mangog by using Mjolnir to throw Mangog into the sun. Apparently, when in War of the Realms, when Mjolnir was reforged in the sun, well, yeah, some of Mangog's essence ended up in Mjolnir, and that is what's made the God of Hammers as they are. And that is where our issue ends. Seriously, it's such a great Thor run. I'm pretty sure that when it's wrapped up, Donny Cates' Thor run is likely going to be as well, probably as not so much well received, but as highly regarded, I would say, as the runs of both Jason Aaron and Walt Simonson. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man number 87. So, Peter Parker's out of his coma and trying to get back in the, swing of being Spider-Man again, sort of. Also, the Beyond Corporation is doing everything they can to keep Ben under control. Their control, to be exact. So, turns out that Captain America and Black Cat have come together in the hopes of helping get Peter ready to be Spider-Man again. But Beyond Corporation has messed with Ben's memory. Has messed around with Ben's memory. Doesn't remember the saying, "With great power comes great responsibility." Among the training that Felicia and Steve put Peter through is Felicia working with Peter on swinging through the city, and Peter's like, "Hey, I've been doing this since I was a kid." He's like, "Yeah, well, you're not a kid anymore." And she even says that he's web slinging like Eddie Brock. No style, no finesse, just trying not to fall. And as the issue progresses, he is getting better. But at the Beyond Corporation, Maxine Danger explains that Dr. Kafka, a clone of Dr. Kafka, of the late Dr. Kafka, is in a precarious situation when it comes to her human rights. And to be privileged, Beyond Corporation can always find a use for a clone. And she shows one of the various biological samples that have been picked up of late. Spidey and Cap meet Black Cat's crew, and for one of the big tests, the test is catch the crooks. And Black Cat says, as Black Cat drives off with Bruno and Doc, she explains, they're the crooks because they surround the place, and so Cap and Spidey go after her. But Bruno's also helped. No, it's not. Oh, that's Cap, not Bruno. Okay, but he's willing to get back up, and the issue ends with Black Cat returning from an adventure with Black Cat, or Mary Jane returning from an adventure with Black Cat, which we'll be getting into momentarily. I'm not sure who. Oh, Janine. Okay. Janine is waiting to talk to her. As in Ben Reilly's girlfriend, Janine. And she has a drive that Dr. Octopus stole from the Beyond Corporation. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our final book for the moment, and I think our final Marvel book for the week. Mary Jane and Black Cat, Beyond. Okay, so the important things that need to be covered before going into this. In some respects, this follows up on the events of last year, or year before last, Hawkeye Freefall miniseries. Hawkeye took on the Hood and managed to win, but only just. And some people, it kind of looked like Hawkeye was about to start making his way down a rather dark road, but no one really went into that. So yeah. Anyway, so Black Cat shows up at the hospital to see how Peter's doing, only to find Parker Robbins, formerly known as the Hood, training a gun on sleeping Peter and Mary Jane. And he explains he wants his Hood back. Black Cat says, however, that she's going to need MJ with her because MJ's part of the crew. And MJ talks to Black Cat into letting her help out. So the person who helped Hawkeye take down the Hood was none other than Count Nefaria. Count Nefaria turns out is a massive film fan, so he gets to meet Mary Jane Watson and talk, and so they get a list of everyone involved: Mr. Fear, Rhino, the Enforcers, Armadillo, Shocker, who they beat the hell out of, and Tombstone. But this is where Mary Jane and Black Cat working together actually comes in handy. So Black Cat gets up and gets the duffel bag that has the demonic duffel bag which consumed Parker Robbins' Hood out of Tombstone's safe, but still manages to escape because it was MJ disguised as Black Cat. And yeah, even though Black Cat doesn't much like MJ, she respects her. She did a good job. But it's basically everyone wants something, even the duffel bag demon. So Felicia and MJ show back up at the hospital. Felicia wearing the Hood. Parker puts the Hood back on, and it turns out that what the duffel bag demon wanted, he got a taste for the Hood itself. Now he wants he wants the full set, and the bag consumes Parker. Peter briefly comes to, sees MJ and Felicia there, both dressed in Black Cat costumes, and so it's this stream again. Be gentle, please. Which, I mean, come on, like that wasn't a like no one knew that was a dream Peter Parker occasionally has, often has. But Black Cat and MJ talk about things. They don't have the best relationship. They both love Peter. Well, MJ loves Peter, whereas Black Cat loves Spider-Man. Which I know, but yeah. And to be fair, that's kind of just because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum there. MJ met Peter Parker, and eventually discovered that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Black Cat met Spider-Man, and eventually was trusted enough by Spider-Man to be told that he's actually Peter Parker. But MJ says that it was kind of fun being the bad girl for a night, which draws a bit of a dirty look from Felicia. And Felicia says, and she says that she hates that's what she is in Spider-Man's life story. And she goes on her whole thing. She says her whole piece, and MJ laughs. Basically, she was the bad girl first. So she was the party girl, always getting into trouble somewhere. And then there was Gwen Stacy, who was perfect. And MJ very pointedly states, have you ever had to live up to the memory of a dead girl? And, MJ says, that Felicia's still important to Peter. And she's important to her, too. She wouldn't have MJ wouldn't have put her life in Felicia's hands if Felicia wasn't important to her. So she's not a footnote in anyone's life. And the issue ends as the sun comes up with Felicia asking how that nerd Peter Parker pulls in babes like her and Mary Jane Watson. Which MJ says, because he keeps getting beat up all the time. It's a pity, it's a pity thing, which gets a laugh out of Felicia, and that is where the issue ends. And I gotta say, I loved it. And honestly, when it comes to romantic interests of Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson Parker is my favorite romantic interest for him, followed closely by Black Cat. The only thing I could have possibly seen as a potential good thing coming out of One More Day would have been Peter and Felicia getting back together. But, yeah, no. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.